love this quote, you guys. The way you alchemize a soulless world is by treating everyone as if they are sacred until the sacred in them remembers. I can't remember where I got this quote or who it's by, but I love that. It's sad that we can't always apply it. We can't always think that way. Not everybody deserves it. Sorry, they just don't. We have to be careful with that energy. But it's a beautiful thought, isn't it? It is a beautiful thought. And everybody's different. Everybody's on different levels, different dimensions of consciousness, different levels, levels of emotional intelligence and emotional maturity and spiritual levels and thoughts and theories, and everybody's different. That's for people that are actually working towards or on those levels of consciousness. That's how they think. That's how they see things. That's how they operate with others, and treat others in that manner. But we still, even if we're working towards that level of consciousness and operation, we still have to live here in this fucked up dimension. Even though the dimensions are just consciousness levels, we still have to do both. And that is what gets whack, is having to live. Some people, there's so many different theories out there. Who the hell knows? Some people look at it like once you have ascended to a certain level of consciousness, that's it. You're there and you don't come back. You don't think in those lower levels anymore. You can't see things in a lower level of consciousness anymore. I disagree. Now, I do agree with once you know something, you can't unknow it. Of course not. You'll always know it. You cannot unknow it. You can forget shit, but you get what I'm saying. Once you realize something, it's hard to unrealize it. But a lot of people think, once you're there and you have ascended to a different level of consciousness, a higher level of consciousness, a higher frequency, the light bulbs are going off, and this shit's been happening to me for probably the last 15, 20 years. My growth process, my ascension process, my dark nights of the soul, my life has been one lifelong process of stuff like that. And I feel like I don't feel like it's like that. I don't feel like it's that cut and dry. It's not like, okay, we're there. We're in this, whatever they're talking about, this fifth dimensional consciousness, higher frequency, or ascending the levels of consciousness, and now, and you really are different. You can tell. You can tell when your timeline has shifted. You can tell when your energy's shifted. Oh, You could tell when you're going through a dark night. You could tell when you are going through an ascension, another growth spurt. You could tell. Some of us can, that work on that kind of shit, that pay attention to that kind of shit. And yeah, I do agree that once you are on a certain level of consciousness and a certain frequency, that you will never, ever, ever be able to completely go back to what you were, to unknow what you now know that has been revealed to you on this higher level of consciousness. These new things have been illuminated and revealed to you. You won't be able to go back to the ignorance of your younger years, or back to the same level of emotional immaturity that you may have had in the past, or the same old habits, or whatever. If you have done the work to ascend and keep doing the work, this new level of consciousness will be revealed to you. You will see things differently. You will feel things differently. You will perceive and interpret everything differently. You will operate differently. Everything will be different. Yes. But for me personally, I feel like a lot of times I'm surrounded by different types of energy, and the frequencies won't match. Not everybody can handle certain frequencies. And sometimes, absolutely, you have to be careful staying in one certain level of consciousness, okay? For me, personally, you have to be able to dip and dap. I'm going to put it that way. You have to be able sometimes, and it's unfortunate, but we live on the earth. We live in this cruel ass, crazy dimension here on earth, and this reality. And I feel like we have to be able to do that. We can't live in the higher consciousness all the time. We have to be able to jump back and handle shit sometimes in a lower way, in a low vibrational way. Does that make sense? And for years, I feel like I have to go back and forth sometimes. I don't know about anybody else, but I would prefer to keep my frequency high. I try to live my life as much as possible according to that, around high frequency people, self-aware people, respectful people, people who are also doing similar things. They have a similar value system, working on their own emotional growth and spiritual growth. And, I try to keep it like that, but that's not reality. We can't live in little bubbles. You know what I mean? So we're gonna encounter people who fucks with us, who fucks with that growth, who try us. And unfortunately, we have to be able to jump back to the lower dimensions. We have to be able to jump into lower vibrational motherfucking consciousness and handle some shit sometimes. I didn't write it. I don't like it. But it just happens that way. And we have to be careful because, yes, people, when they know you're working on yourself and they know, a lot of people don't get what you're doing. They're over there in a different fucking land, in a different fucking bubble, on a different level of consciousness, fucking hating and shitting on you and fucking wanting their own personal way and looking at you like, well, who does this pretentious ass bitch think she is? And, what the fuck is she talking about? And that's ignorance, man. That's coming from folks. You know what I'm saying? But those type of people will try to take everything that you work for from you and smear that shit. Use it for their own personal gain, their toxic ass agendas, and put their own false fucked up narrative to it. What you're all about. And so it's just weird, okay? But yeah, I feel that way. I feel that unfortunately we have to be able to handle different types of energy. And I would love it if we could always be kind and polite and loving and cool with all the other energies in the world, but sometimes you have to be able to be fierce. Because, and I know there are people that live their life in a certain way and they think, well, if I just don't get outside of this particular box, or this won't come upon me, but it might. You don't know that. So, I personally think that we can do the best we can while we're here. That's what I think. I think we can do the best we can to work on our emotional and spiritual growth and ascend the levels of consciousness before we pass away. With that, it's like this. Once you do achieve ascending to a different level of consciousness, that's all that is just learning and growing All that is growing in your emotional intelligence, your spiritual intelligence. That's really all that is. New concepts, you understand things in a different way. You outgrow unnecessary, negative, archaic, self-defeating patterns from the past. You view people differently. You accept people differently. It's just a whole different ballgame. So I feel like with that, once you do get to a different level of consciousness, okay, it's like, yes, you will operate differently. And here's the thing. It will become a part of you at that point. It won't be like it was before. Those new thoughts, the new operations, the way you perceive everything and feel about everything and interact with it, that will become a natural part of you. You will not instinctively do what you did in the past, you see. So that's kind of what it means to me. That's kind of what it feels like for me. When I said earlier, I disagree that once you're on a different level of consciousness and you're working on higher vibrational frequencies and doing different things and leaving behind old, outdated, unnecessary patterns, immature patterns, toxic patterns, and you're on a whole different level working on those things. And I said, I disagree with the theory that that's it, you're there, you made it, you'll never think the same again, you'll never have a fight with anybody or slip back off into some petty ass shit or have a moment of jealousy or a moment of doubt or have to fucking stand up to somebody and maybe have to dip back down in that fucking energy for a minute. That's what I meant. Sometimes you have to dips and daps. Or my life is that way anyway, okay? But here's what I'm trying to convey is that once you do reach a different level of consciousness, a whole different level of operations, emotional maturity, spiritual maturity, a different intelligence. Once you are there, it will not be instinctive to you anymore to react that way. That's what I'm trying to convey. You will lose all that. It will be a part of you to think of people in a new way and have new responses, okay? New ways of dealing with people, seeing people, coping with people. For example, if in the past you were a petty, 5-second temper, reactive, vindictive, I'm gonna get you right this minute, or a cheater or a liar or whatever. You felt like you had to always manipulate people to get your needs met, or you were full of self-doubt, or whatever the case was. When you do the work and you do start getting to a different level of consciousness, feeling different ways about yourself, you can feel all those changes as they come. I've been working those processes for years. Once you do kind of get there, it will become more natural to you. You will accept your new self, and it will become more natural to you as time goes on to just be on that level, to be that person. You will not even remotely think like you used to think. That's what I mean. That is the new, it is authentically you. You become that new level of consciousness. But at the same time, there are occasions where, yes, you may relapse back into an old pattern of thinking, a lower vibrational state, depending on who you're around, what you're confronted with, what the circumstances are. We're not perfect. We will never be able to totally stay on higher dimensions of consciousness and higher frequency every day, all day, 24 hours a damn day. Can't do it. We have moods, we have thoughts, we have feelings, we have shit that we have to confront. It is what it is. Okay, I'm still understanding all this stuff too, but I think it's neat. It's cool to talk about. It's fun to examine. But yeah, so that's kind of what I feel about it. I know there are people that think once you're there, you just You just live there all the time, and you don't ever think twice about being anything else, and you're just on this cloud of higher consciousness and high frequency. It'd be great if we could be. I love that. But, hey, with that, unfortunately, sometimes you attract haters. People see that light. They see that love. They see that determination to transmute and alchemize. I like that word. They see that you can do that. And that produces hate in some people. It produces jealousy in some people that can't do it because they won't try to do it. They haven't applied themselves to doing it, or whatever the case is. So, with that being said, sometimes when you are that motherfucker and you're working on that shit, and that's the shit that you're giving to people, a lot of times you got somebody hating you for that shit. And sometimes it's the closest people to you. The ones you love the most. That's right. So, it is what it is. Sometimes just by being that person who is full of love and light and authenticity and being altruistic and doing all this work, there are going to be people that envy and hate that shit. There are negative, dark-ass, demonic fucking forces that are always after that light. Always. That energy is coveted. It just is. So sometimes, I don't know about for everybody else, but I'm not fucked up about it. Because I've had too many people fuck with me, try to manipulate me like some fucking predator. The minute that I'm in a good mood, or the minute my peace is upon me, or the minute that I am practicing forgiveness and giving that energy of love and kindness and being cool on that level with the person, they use that shit. Manipulators and toxic ass people and predator type people will use that shit against you. Oh, you're spiritual. Well, the universe wouldn't like it if you did this. And the universe wants you to do that. Man, fuck the universe. See? I'm just saying, sometimes you got to be able to get down on a motherfucking level, on these motherfuckers' level. Oh, and that really fucks them up. Cracks their face in a million pieces because they thought they had you, didn't they? Sorry, I've been dealing with people like that all my life. I have literally been preyed upon since I was a fucking toddler. Since my earliest memory on this earth, I have been preyed on by predators. It has been a lifelong thing for me to have to deal with. To have to recognize energy and to have to stand for my fucking self. There are certain energies that attract certain energies, that attract certain things. There's only so much of it that we can be responsible for. I take responsibility for my part of it, what I attract, because of what I need to change on my vibrational level, my healing work. Okay, I take full responsibility for what the fuck I attract in. But there are some things that we can't help. Some things just attract to us anyway. Something about our energy, something that we're not even responsible for. It's just us. It's okay. It just attracts to us. And we have to be able to fucking deal with it. I had one more little point and I forgot what it was. Well, I'll put it in the next part.